everyone, it is Toby here, and today is a video I didn't want to be making, but I indeed did get injured. In my deadlift session last week, I got a lower back injury. Luckily, nothing severe, nothing super serious. It's going to be a matter of days, possibly a week, before I am back to normal, rather than a more severe injury that could take weeks or months. So luckily we're all good, but I'm going to be talking a bit about how I've modified this week of training to overcome that injury, talk a bit about how the injury happened, what might have caused it, and any precautions I'm going to take in the future to avoid this happening again. Now, I'm also going to be giving a little bit of an update on my YouTube channel, some changes I'm going to be making, and a few videos recently that have done well that have influenced those changes. We're going to get that out of the way first, so make sure that if you don't care about the YouTube channel, you just want to learn about the injury, sit tight. In 2 minutes or so, we'll be on to the injury. So as for the YouTube channel, we are well on our way to that goal of 1,000 subscribers. And what has helped that recently is because of the injury, I had to do a video where instead of training, I was stood up talking about a topic that I wanted to get some thoughts out on. And it seemed to do really well. You guys seem to love it when I sat down and just talked to you guys about a given topic. So that's going to make a regular appearance on my channel now. Every Friday, I'm going to try and record a video where I just sit, I talk about a given topic, give my thoughts, give my opinions, and we start discussion in the comments of that video. So if you have any ideas about topics like that you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments below and I'll add them to the list of videos that I'm going to be making over the coming weeks. But if that is something you enjoy, make sure you stick around for that, because every Friday I'm going to try do one of those. But if you prefer the training content, don't worry, that's not going to be going anywhere. I'm still going to be doing that. That is still my passion. So my journey, my training, tips and tricks, all of that, that's going to stay on the channel. This is just going to be a bit of an extra. So now that that update is out of the way, let's get into the injury, what caused it, how I'm going to avoid it, and how I'm going to work around it for the coming week. So as I mentioned, it was a lower back injury that I obtained during my deadlift session in the weeks just gone. It was not a remarkably heavy session. It was a weight that I've done for the top set given before a few times. It was nothing that I was super worried about. I had no reason to think that I was going to be injured. During the warm-ups, everything felt fantastic. Even during the set that I got injured in, everything felt great until it happened. So let's roll the set. It was a 270 programmed double, got a single, and then got injured. So here is the video. Warning, it is not at all graphic and looks completely normal, to be completely honest. So here it is. So as you can see, it was a completely normal set. The first rep moved super smooth. I controlled it down, and as I was about to go for the second rep, my lower back completely locked up. Couldn't get any power out of it for the second rep. Obviously, I didn't try to power through or anything. I just stood up, shook my head, and was just like, something's a bit off here. Thought it was just cramp and that it'd go away, and I'd leave just with a bit of disappointment that I wasn't able to get that full top set, but an easy single. I was pretty happy and I was ready to move on to the rest of the session. Now, alarm bells started ringing when, after about 10-15 minutes, this cramp did not go away and my lower back continued to remain locked up and pretty tight and painful for the rest of the day. So obviously, needless to say, I called the session there, spoke to my coach, Loz, and a few other people about what this could possibly be, and I sort of landed on the conclusion that this is either going to be a trapped nerve or just a slight muscle strain, and my back sort of went into panic mode, locked itself up to prevent further injury, which is exactly what happens. I wasn't too worried. It didn't feel that severe. It was painful. It wasn't nice, but it didn't feel like something that was going to knock me out of training for a few months. It felt like something that I'd get over the weekend and then be back to it pretty soon. So I wasn't too worried, but as the day went on, it stayed exactly the same. It was pretty painful. I had to move quite slowly. I couldn't bend, anything like that. So yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but after a sleep, it got marginally better. Then after another sleep, the next day got better again. And then 3 days later on the Sunday, it was completely fine, pretty much back to normal. And now today, the Monday, it's almost as if it didn't happen. But we're not going to jump straight back into the fourth week of the block, which was supposed to be the heaviest week, obviously. That'd be stupid. That is a way to re-injure it, make it worse. So we're going to use this excuse to take a bit of a deload week, let my entire body recover, and then we'll build back up in the next block, which starts a week from today. So this week means that I've got a deload week, and how we're going to be approaching that for my lower back is each session I'm going to try and hit not too far off what the top sets were originally supposed to be, but modified slightly so that we're protecting that lower back, not letting the form break down, and doing a lot of sub-maximal singles just to make sure that the form's moving well and that we can reinforce those movement patterns. So my plan today for the legs is to take our top set, which would have been a 170 set of 10, where the first 5 reps would have moved great. The second 5 reps, the form might start breaking down. And we're going to try and transform that from a set of 10 to either 10 sets of 1, 5 sets of 2. Just making sure that the form doesn't break down at all, the pressure's off our lower back, and we're reinforcing that squat technique at a very, very sub-maximal load. My squat PB is up at like 220, 230 for multiple reps, so 170 for singles and doubles is absolutely no problem. Obviously, I'm going to play it by ear in the warm-ups. If the warm-ups start feeling tight in my lower back and they're not great, I will stop. I will not push it. I will not try and work through anything that feels off. I'm just going to play it by ear, play it cool, and make it go easy. And then as for the accessories, we're going to take any that sort of put unnecessary strain on the lower back and swap them out for other things. I'm going to use this as a great excuse to try out some other accessories that I might not normally do in the block and just keep blood flowing around the lower back, around the lower body, and getting that healthy blood in to make sure that the back gets bulletproofed, rejuvenated, all of that. So that's what we're going to do today's session, and then as the week follows, we're going to play it by ear every single day, discuss with Lars, see what we think we should do, and then over the course of this week, take a bit of a deload, get the body healthy, try out some new things, and then attack it with the new block the following week and get back to normal. So what I'm going to do for today's session is I'm going to go to the gym, public gym, as I would usually do, film everything that I do or as much of it as I can do, and then I'm going to talk about it in a voiceover over clips of my training, show you what I've done, talk about why I've chosen to do it, why it's benefiting my injured back, why I'm choosing to make these changes. But overall, I'm just going to modify this week a bit, make it a bit more of a deload, reinforce the movement patterns rather than try and build maximal strength. And then hopefully this is just a little bump in the road to 300 kilo deadlift, and we'll be able to tackle it and get back on track next week. So without further ado, let's take a look at my training. So first up, we have the squats. And as I mentioned, usually I was programmed 170 for a set of 10. So warm-ups felt pretty decent, did more warm-up sets than usual just to make sure the back was feeling all right. And then we switched the 170 for 10 reps for 170 for 5 sets of 2 reps. So you'll be seeing that on screen now, really focusing on controlling down, coming back up, keeping that back straight, not letting it flex or anything, making sure that it's safe. And this has been really good to do just to get under some fairly heavy load and make sure that the back's feeling all good after the weekend off. Sometimes you're thinking injury's better and then you start to load it and it feels worse again. This felt good, and it was good to get the same amount of reps in, just spread over a few sets. So yeah, the squats felt really, really good. Nothing much more to say on them. All of them looked exactly the same, felt the exact same. Honestly, from that I could tell I am pretty much back to normal completely. Squats felt no different than they would when I was completely healthy. So really, really promising, really pleased with how that felt. So didn't push it any further. Obviously, that would be silly, but really useful to get under some weight and still do that compound movement. I still got the same amount of volume in as I would have done for a set of 10. Obviously, it's different. It's a lot harder to do a continuous set of 10 than 5 sets of 2, but it is still good to get that load done. And yeah, so that was the squats. Really pleased with how they went. It set me up for a really, really good session. So next up, instead of the leg press, we did some hack squat. So hack squat up next. I found these to be much better on the back than the leg press. On the leg press, I find that it can curl me off the seat a bit, whereas with the hack squat, I can really press my back into the seat, so it's much more supported. I decided not to go too heavy on this, but instead up the reps. So I did around about 100 kilo for 3 sets of 15. So lots of blood in the area, trying to get nice and deep, getting in a position I don't usually manage to get in with squats, working those stabilization muscles. So yeah, they felt really good again. Really good to get some blood in that lower body. So yeah, I kind of used hack squats there as a replacement of both the leg press and the box squats that we've been doing. So box squats, I feel a lot on my lower back, so I definitely didn't want to touch them. And leg press, as I mentioned, tends to curl me off the seat a bit. So with hack squat, I don't get to go as heavy and I feel a lot more supported with that back pad there. I'm able to get really nice and deep and explode up. I opted to keep the weight light and just get really explosive and do some high reps, focus on those stabilizing muscles that I don't usually hit. And yeah, just to get a lot of blood into the lower body and the hips and that area, sort of the area in the direct vicinity of the lower back. Just get a lot of good, fresh, new blood into that area, which is going to help with any more repair that needs to be done on the injury. So that was the sort of thinking behind those. But they felt really good again, set me up really nicely for a good session. And next we moved on to a direct lower back exercise. Didn't know how these were going to go, so we'll talk about them. So yeah, we decided to do some high rep hyperextensions, really to test the waters and make sure that the injury is indeed healed. If anything was going to hurt my back today, it was going to be these hyperextensions. So by doing them completely unweighted for high reps allowed me to get a load of blood in the area, directly targeted to the muscles that were injured, and it felt fantastic, no pain whatsoever, which really tells me that we're well on the way to being completely mended. I think we pretty much are, but getting a lot of blood in the area speeds up that repair process and is fantastic. So hyperextensions could have been one of those things that were hit or miss. Obviously with a back injury, hyperextensions are the last thing you're going to be doing if it's still hurting, but I thought because it felt so good in the rest of the session, I'd test the waters, make sure it was feeling good, and the whole idea behind them, as I said, was to get blood into the area, fresh new blood, to aid in that recovery process. And because they were completely painless, I was able to hit the high reps on those, pump it up, get loads of blood in the area, and it did feel a bit stiff afterwards, but that was to be expected. I mean, I think that's just the pump more than anything. It's worn off now, it feels completely fine again. So yeah, that is essentially all I changed from my leg day to accommodate this injury. Obviously, it's still a bit of a deload, so not only are we changing for the injury, but we're coupling it for a deload week. So the weights were down, reps were a bit higher, but we were still moving, still pumping up and still getting a pretty damn good session in. After that, I just did a few normal leg accessories that don't get changed much at all. So leg extensions, leg curls, that sort of thing. So you guys don't really need to see those. They are not really topical for this video because I'm only covering what I changed specifically for the injury in this video. So yeah, the worst thing you can do with an injury is sit down and do nothing. I mean, even on the days off that I took from Thursday until today, Monday, the whole weekend, I was up and about, walking as much as I could, getting a lot of fresh air, keeping moving. The worst thing you can do is completely turn sedentary because your body needs exercise to circulate the blood more efficiently, get new blood into the muscles, into the areas to do repair. So if you injure your arm, work your legs. If you injure your legs, work your arms. You know, if you injure your back, work around it as best you can, like I have. Just make sure you stay moving. Don't do anything silly, obviously. It's very apparent I haven't gone to maximal loads here. I've been well within my capabilities. Lighter weights, higher reps, keeping the form strict, and getting some good blood in. So luckily my injury wasn't that severe. It's only taken a few days to get back to normal. I'm still going to play it safe, take a deload week for the rest of the week because I'm in need of one. That is mainly the thing is I haven't had a deload week in a long time, and this small injury has given me an excuse to take one. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to smash it hard, starting next block next week. Hopefully all goes well with the rest of the sessions, but hopefully this video has been useful to any of you suffering with any sort of injury, seeing how you can modify, work around, and not get too upset. And obviously it goes without saying that this isn't a very severe injury. It could have been a lot worse. A lot of other people have had a lot worse, but if I'm sharing my whole training journey, I've got to share the highs and I've also got to share the lows. And this is unfortunately one of the lows, but it could have been a lot worse. So I'm still pretty positive. I'm still confident we will get that 300 kilo deadlift in the near future. So if that is something that you sound interested in, go down below, hit subscribe, make sure you follow the journey. If you're here just for the tips and tricks on injury prevention and getting around injury and stuff like that, make sure you still subscribe, stay tuned. I don't only follow my own journey, I also do informational talks and stuff. As I mentioned earlier, they're going to be becoming much more regular on the channel. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like down below. It really helps out the channel, and comment down below any exercise modifications that you have done to get around your own injuries. I'd really interested to hear them in case obviously I get injured or anyone else watching the video gets injured in the same way. It'd be useful to see what you guys have been doing for your certain injury. So leave your injury down in the comments below along with the exercises you have modified to work around it. I'm really interested to hear what those are. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Toby and I will see you in the next video.